We're live. What's up, Stephen? What's up, everyone?
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
How was your weekend, Stephen? How was your weekend? How was your
My
weekend, brother?
my weekend was absolutely fuck all
Okay,
because the football was absolutely fuck all and my FPL weekend was the worst.
same here.
So
Same here.
all in all, absolute worst. Hey, you scored well in excess of 50 points, right?
Yeah, that's because of the last game that happened. Where Son scored a goal and Harry got an
How much
assist.
did you score this game week? How much did you score?
I think I'm not so sure. Wait, let me check. I think I scored before that match. I think my points was around 35 or 33. I think.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'll
So
check.
yeah, why did you check? Yeah, I can't do it. I haven't logged in.
One sec.
But it was
Guys,
like
by the way, like if you all want to join our
yeah,
uh,
FPL
I
league.
mean mini league, you can join.
Yeah,
Dhanush will
the
link the description. I mean,
it's
link the FPL code
everything is in the description. The link,
in the description.
the
It's
link,
called
the code.
Sportify Fantasy Babes. There are
Yeah,
about 40 people.
yeah.
And I am 17th, and Dhanush is, I think, in the top 10. Dhanush
Oh
is 7th.
yeah, oh yeah.
Dhanush was third or something actually
Yeah,
before this game week
yeah.
started. He
This
dropped to
this week,
7th.
yeah, this week fucked my
Oh,
entire.
you scored 51 points.
Thanks
Wow.
to Son and Kane for the last game.
Thanks to Zaha. That
Yeah,
was a good
Zaha
move.
too. Yeah, that was Zaha too.
Zaha got you 13 points.
And the one time that I put Dominic Calvert-Lewin in my team, he doesn't get any point, dude.
He
Two,
blanked. He blanked.
two.
Yeah, he blanked for me. Dude, I had so many hopes. I had Salah in my team. I
Ah,
captained him.
yeah,
Salah blanked.
yeah,
Salah had a goal ruled offside. He
yeah,
hit the post once. It was just so frustrating.
yeah.
Oh, you had Luka in your team. He
Yeah,
was
he
sent
got,
off -2.
and I did such a immature move where I actually already did my transfer for the next week. So I can't even take Dinia off my team now. That
Oh,
was such a
but you can
bad move.
substitute him with
Yeah, I'll substitute
Jagiel.
him.
I'm not sure if Jagiel can play.
I think I'll do it with Mukbar. I don't have anyone else other than him. So I have to do
Or
it
you
with
can
Mukbar.
change your formation.
Yeah, I have to change my formation. That's the
Because
only thing.
your formation right now I think is 5-3-2
Yeah. It's
or
three
is it
three three five I think it's
no,
three
it's
four
four
three.
three three. It's 4-3-3.
4-3-3,
You
yeah.
can maybe go for a 3-4-3.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
4-3-3 now.
Yeah. So I have to see
Hey,
which.
pretty good, man, because the average score for this game week was around 40, I think. No, 48.
Yeah.
And I managed to score 10 points less than that. So my game week score is 38.
I think
Absolutely horrendous.
you have been on a bad run for like 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, my last game week was okay,
Yeah,
where I got around 68 points, which was still less compared to what others got.
yeah,
But the previous game week before that was horrible because I
yeah.
scored only 27 points.
Oh my God,
But I'm confident that I can come back because there's plenty of match weeks left.
exactly. So we'll get into Fantasy Premier League along when we are talking about Premier League. So
Yeah, yeah.
now we'll start off with the other stuff, other sporting news, and that is first we'll start off with Formula One.
Yes,
So
yes.
the Portuguese Grand Prix.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, nothing in, I think we won't be talking about this for too much because it was just a normal race. There wasn't a lot of DNF. I think except for Stroll, there wasn't any
Hmm.
DNF. Other than that,
I
it's
think the
just a normal race.
first half an hour or so was exciting because
Yeah,
Hamilton and Bottas were trailing,
trailing. Yeah,
and I think what's a Carlos Sainz was leading for a
yeah.
good 10 laps or so.
I don't know what happened to
Was
McLaren. They're like,
Yeah,
it was like a demon possessed by them. I mean, the demon has possessed or something like that. Him and Lando were both gunning for Hamilton and Bottas.
yep. And they
Yeah,
even managed to stay ahead of them for at least like
yeah,
for a good 10 laps or so, right?
yeah.
Not sure.
And that's one of the main reason was because the track got cold because it started raining like in the initial laps,
Mm.
and then it
Okay.
went away, and then it went away. So then the tires got warmed up, and then Hamilton. I mean Mercedes. If they have a ideal weather, no one can stop them, and then they just took the
Yeah,
lead.
yeah.
That's it.
Correct. Because they were overtaking like the others for fun.
Yeah,
They were like when they were trailing, when they were I think third and fourth or second and third,
yeah,
they just overtook so easily.
yeah,
They overtook Sainz so easily.
yeah,
By the way,
exactly.
where did Sainz finish? I didn't see the top 10 standings.
He also the top three, right? So first was Hamilton, Bottas, then Verstappen took the podium, three podium, and then it
Yeah.
was Leclerc, which was a
Quite
pretty good,
surprising.
yeah, pretty good finish,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
with the car that he has. And then it's Pierre Gasly. Gasly actually raced really well.
Oh, Gasly was. I know. I saw Gasly's highlights. Gasly
Yeah,
was really good.
Yeah.
He drove really well.
He drove really well. Like he looks like a future, like a main driver in one of the top three teams.
Yeah, like the top three teams.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was Carlos Sainz.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah,
Gasly managed to finish ahead of Sainz. That's
ahead of
pretty good,
Sainz.
man.
Yeah, he drove really
With
well.
the
And
car that he has.
exactly. And then after that, it was Perez, Ocon, and Ricardo. And then 10th, it was Vettel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where did Albon finish? Again outside.
12th.
Again another
Yeah,
outside
12th.
top 10 finish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kimi was in 11th, and then it's Albon.
Kimi was pretty good. Kimi was pretty good.
Kimi, especially in the start, like he was overtaking people like left and right. I was
Kimi
like,
is one fearless badass motherfucker.
yeah, I was like, the Iceman is back. And then, okay, then I was like, okay, I had to calm down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it's nice to see that, like up and coming drivers like Gasly, taking the stage
Hmm.
and showing their
Yeah,
worth. Yeah, but we
correct.
have to talk about Lewis Hamilton, breaking the record.
Yeah,
Getting his,
breaking Schumacher's record.
yeah,
I mean, it's an
90
unbelievable
second.
feat
Yeah, 90-second
considering
win.
considering he still has a lot more in him.
Yeah,
I think he can easily, like if he continues with Merck
yeah,
for maybe another, say, 3 or 4 years,
yeah,
he can even, look to smash the 200 barrier,
yeah,
the
exactly.
200 mark barrier.
And
So
when I mean when
it's
Hamilton
a
came
high
into
possibility.
the yeah when Hamilton came into the Formula One scene, no one thought that he was an amazing driver or like something special. I would say
Yeah,
like obviously he has skills. I'm not saying he doesn't, but at the same time he had good luck on his side as well, where he had got into a team like Mercedes, who no
yeah,
one
yeah.
knew.
Where was he before Mercedes? McLaren, right? No,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
McLaren.
yeah.
Was it McLaren?
It was McLaren.
He was pretty good there as well. He won a lot of podiums and
Yeah,
all over there.
he actually won the first championship with McLaren. But what I'm saying is
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
when he came onto the scene, he didn't look like a driver who's gonna like go against the likes of like he's gonna be put in the same sentence as Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost,
Yeah.
like those kind of people. Like even with Vettel, like Vettel has won 3 championship, right? And a lot of people say
Hmm.
that the only reason that he won 3 championship is because of the car that he had. Red Bull
Yeah,
dominated like 3 years in a row, right? The
correct.
same might also go to Hamilton as well. I'm not saying that he doesn't have skills, but I'm saying that
Yeah.
that could also be a factor as well.
No, like I think I'm not much of a car expert, or like I'm not a F1 connoisseur,
Hmm.
so I really can't comment. But I really think I mean it's the cars and it's the teams that win you the titles.
Yeah,
Of course,
exactly.
you need to be a good driver, but 80% of it is clearly the
Yeah,
car, right?
exactly. I totally agree.
Or else nobody would dominate the landscape like
Yeah,
Mercedes has in the past
exactly.
5 years.
Especially in Formula One nowadays, like the modern Formula One, where
Hmm.
the cars. I mean, the cars that the top three teams have, and the cars that the bottom whatever team have. It's like there's such a huge gap.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah,
there's clear classism there as well, right?
exactly.
I mean the
Yeah,
rest of the what is that called? Middle rest of the best or something.
yeah,
The mid three teams or something. They
yeah,
are like they are in a league of their own.
yeah.
It's as if like they don't have any competition against the top three teams.
Exactly. So I mean, again, there are so many arguments. Like if instead of Bottas, if it was Verstappen in Mercedes, who knows?
Yeah.
He couldn't even have won 3 titles with Mercedes.
Hmm.
So yeah, there are so many arguments with it. So, but again,
Possible.
yeah, but props to him. Like he broke that record. Now
Yeah.
you could say that he's one of the greatest driver that Formula One has ever had.
Without
Yeah,
a shade of doubt, for sure. I think
yeah,
because the credit, I mean, he also deserves a lot of credit
exactly.
because you have a teammate who has the same car as Hamilton,
Yeah,
but Hamilton always manages to win the pole position and
yeah,
also nail the race. I don't know
yeah,
how he does that. He always manages to stay ahead of the lead, stay in the lead, and even if he's behind, he manages to overtake and secure the win. That's
yeah.
how good a driver he is. Like not discounting that factor at all.
Lot of people say that the one of the main reason for that is actually the Mercedes car is set up for Hamilton, like just like how
Oh,
the Red Bull,
really?
yeah, the Red Bull car is set up for Verstappen. That is why Albon struggles in the Red Bull car. So like
Oh,
it's not like for, I mean, of course each an individual driver do their own thing to the car, but a team would actually mainly focus their car on their main driver.
on their main driver.
Exactly. Like how
On their
Schumacher was
yeah.
in Ferrari and with him there was Felipe Massa, but it was Schumacher all the way. Sometimes, the team focuses on the main driver instead of the other driver. So, and then they
Oh,
tweak however they want to.
yeah.
So there's
Okay.
that as well. But it was a good race, nothing interesting, but it was a very nice race, record breaking race. But then the next race is in, I think it is in, where exactly is this? I think it's in Italy.
Italy, Monza.
No. Yeah, it's Imola. Imola. Yeah, it's Imola. Okay.
It's
Yeah,
in Italy, yeah.
it's in Italy. Yeah, Imola. It's the next race in Imola. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So that is going to be a fun race, and because it's a very high speed circuit, so it's going to be very fun to watch.
Mm.
And I
Yeah,
probably think Mercedes is going to dominate again.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how many more races does Hamilton have to win to secure the world title?
I think,
Not much, right? Because I think the commentator on the race was telling that he is only a few races away from the victory,
yeah, right now
few points away.
Hamilton has like more than 70-point lead
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
on
Some
second.
250 plus, no, his score is.
Yeah, 256, and Bottas is at 179.
Yeah, the other guy is at 150 or something.
Yeah,
Verstappen.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there are like how many races left? One, two, three, four, five. Five races left.
Oh, for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there are only five
Oh,
races left.
wow.
So I think in the
Nice.
next two races, I think he can wrap it up.
Another
Yeah,
title.
yeah,
I mean, what else can we do? We have to cover. I mean,
exactly.
whatever
Yeah,
is left is already done.
yeah. There is nothing to talk about it. So I
Yeah.
think we can move on to our next topic, and that is UFC, which we don't usually talk a lot, but we have to talk
Yeah.
about this one because it was a
Yes. Yeah.
huge main event, and that was
Yeah.
Khabib
And
versus Justin Gaethje.
and a historic day as well, given
Exactly.
that one of the greatest pound to
Yeah,
pound fighters
yeah,
retired.
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dhanush. Take it away.
Yeah, one of the
What were
greatest,
your
you could say.
thoughts?
Yeah, one of the greatest lightweight UFC fighter retired with an absolutely amazing record, which was 29-0.
Yeah.
I think it'll be many years down the line for someone to come and break that record or even come close to that
Yeah.
record, because
Israel Adesanya has a unbeaten record, if I'm
yeah,
not wrong.
yeah. But
I think
he's in a
16 and
different
0 or something.
yeah, but he's in a
Yeah, he's in a
different weight
different
class.
weight category.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
But
but he also looks like Khabib as well. Like he's so dominating when it comes to
hmm,
his own weight class, and he dominates anyone. I mean, up until now, he has dominated everyone that has come against him. So
hmm.
he kind of looks like the one of the close candidate, depending on how fit he is and how long he can go for. So
Okay.
he looks like he could reach that record, but like I said, it would take something really special to get to that record. But watching the match, I would say that I expected Justin to actually like go against Khabib and to actually put up a fight, because when it was against Conor, it was a very mixed match because Conor is not a striking specialist. I mean, he is kind of a striking
Hmm.
specialist where he has a lot of power, but at the same time, he's into both the camps as well. He is good at submission. At the same time, he's a very good striker as well. But Justin is someone who
Justin is a
like
much better striker than him,
much better
apparently.
striker. Yeah, that is why a lot of
Yeah.
people were so excited about this match, because one was a specialist when it comes to submission, and one was a
Hmm.
specialist when it comes to striking. And it was,
Hmm.
everyone thought it was going to be a very balanced match where each of them are going to play to their own strength. But when the
Okay.
match began, oh my God, I did not
Yeah.
expect
It
Khabib.
was all Khabib. It
It
was
was,
all Khabib.
I mean, the
Easily
pressure
won the
that he
game.
was putting on Justin, I did not expect Justin to be, I mean, shrouded by that much of pressure from Khabib. It was like
Hmm.
Khabib was possessed by a demon. Like, he was just going up at his face, not giving him a second to breathe. No, every single time he was striking, he was looking for opportunities to punch him, and even trying. He was actually looking. I mean, even in the first round, he was looking an opportunity to take him to the ground, but he didn't get that.
Hmm.
But finally, he did in the second round, and then he put that awesome triangle choke, and then he got his win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was
But I
fun.
think the referee was a little late on calling the match, right?
Yeah,
Because I think he was 3 or 4 seconds late because he passed out. I think Justin Gaethje
yeah.
passed out,
So
and
as you know, like we have a friend whose name is Ravi. He's an expert. Like he watches. I mean, he knows
yeah.
much more about UFC than any of us, and he's a MMA fighter too as well, like an amateur
Hmm.
one. And he
Hmm.
actually sent. I mean, he actually had put a story where one of us, I think it was Khabib's coach or someone related into the Khabib camp actually. When they were giving a post interview about the fight, so when he was asked about the entire fight, he actually told that Khabib, when he took Justin Gaethje to the ground, he actually
Hmm.
wanted to put an armbar, but
Okay.
he knew that Justin wouldn't tap out, and Justin was actually fighting in front of his parents. So obviously he would have let Khabib break his hand rather than tapping out. So that's why instead of putting an armbar where he could have put an armbar, he decided to go for a triangle choke where he could just put him to sleep
Oh,
and get a win. So
okay, okay, okay.
that's how dominating Khabib was, where he chose how to beat him instead of like,
Madness,
moving into
madness.
the challenge.
Yeah.
So I was
I
like,
mean,
oh my God.
it's basic sense that you should never pick up a fight with somebody who
Yeah.
fought a bear when he was a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. That's a whole other story.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
he's from the Russian lands, right? So obviously those people are tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough as nails.
Yep.
But
Yep. And the best part, I mean, the best thing I like about Khabib is,
mhm,
despite being, one of the
yeah,
goats in the game, and despite being such a dominant fighter, he is very humble.
yeah,
I mean, he's not tasted defeat,
yeah,
but even in victory, except against Conor, which Conor deserved, I feel,
yeah.
he was very humble with everyone else.
Hmm.
Like there is that sportsman spirit, and the respect, the mutual respect that he shares with all his opponents,
Yeah, yeah,
except Conor,
yeah,
where against whom he has a long-standing feud.
yeah,
But be it Gaethje, be it Dustin Poirier, be it any other fighter, he's always gone on to praise them after the match,
yeah,
and always goes and gives them a warm hug,
yeah,
even hugs their teammates and all
yeah,
that stuff, and
yeah,
he hugs it
yeah,
out with them, which is so nice to see in any sport,
yeah. He's
not
like
just
an
him.
ideal definition of sportsmanship. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
prop. And also this fight was very special to him because this fight happened right after his
exactly.
father died
Father
as well.
passed away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So this was a very, I mean, he just broke down after the fight, like he was crying
yeah,
on the mat right there for like a minute or two. And it was kind of emotional to see. Like a lot of people were making memes about it, but again, it was very emotional to see that. But again, like the whole thing about the Khabib fight was like it was so dominating. Like the way that he fought against Justin, it looked like it was so easy to fight, like the way that he fought,
yeah. He
like
makes it look very easy.
exactly and that shows like the true essence of a champion who is in a level that no one is or no one has reached yet.
Correct,
Yeah, and it
correct,
was very
correct.
fun to watch. Like it was an awesome fight. Like it wasn't a disappointment, like where it's like a 10-second or 20-second round and it's over.
Yeah, but for all the hype that was generated, this got
Yeah,
over pretty quickly.
exactly
I think it
exactly
lasted only about 2 or 3 minutes, right?
no, it was about, I think, 8 to 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think he got the submission in the
Oh,
second
sorry. I
round.
think it lasted 2 or 3 rounds,
Yeah.
not more than
In the
that.
second round, he got the submission. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Like, it was fun to watch like a master, dealing in his craft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always
So,
is, always is.
yeah, exactly.
And like it was like I was kind of like I don't follow a lot of MMA,
Hmm.
but I do know some of the big stalwarts in the game.
Yeah.
Khabib being one of them,
Yeah.
and I was kind of surprised that he announced his retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But again, hey, he has his own values to
Exactly.
adhere to, and
Yeah.
he like there was this comment which I saw in one of the video which said that he started playing for his father and he announced his retirement for his
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah. So it was like a
So
fitting end.
which is very nice, which is very
Yeah.
emotional.
Emotional and it's like a proper
Did
ending
it
to the.
surprise? Did it surprise you that he announced his retirement?
Yeah, it actually did surprise me. Like, but at the same time, when like obviously after his father's passing, you could understand why he did that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah, it could
correct.
be like he could have no more motivation after like if there are any other fights coming up, because his father
But
was one of those
I
people who
still
was
think
aiming
he'll
for
come
another.
back. I
Yeah,
still think he'll come back.
maybe, but like his father was such an influence for him, always in his
Yeah, yeah.
corner. So yeah, so that
He'll definitely take a while to get over it, but I'm
yeah,
sure he'll come back out of retirement.
yeah, maybe if there is someone like who is a legitimate challenger for him, if there
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So with that, let's move on to the next one, and that is cricket. I think Steven, you have something
Yeah.
to inform us
Yeah,
about.
so cricket, nothing much. So
Mm-hmm.
India is going to play Australia. India is going to tour Australia I think, in the month of November.
Wait, is the
And the
IPL over?
squads have, no, IPL will get over, I think, in another week or so.
Okay.
So IPL is going on.
Okay.
IPL, though, it's going on just like it is.
Okay.
So like BCCI announced the squad for announced the squad for T20,
Mm-hmm.
for ODIs, for the test. which
Uh-huh.
they'll play against Australia from the month of November.
Okay.
So that is going to be a tough test for India, is what I feel, because India has always managed to struggle in Australia.
Mhm.
But in 2018, India, I think in a very long time, I think for the first time perhaps in the history of Indian cricket,
Mhm.
went to Australia and won a series over there. So
Oh.
that series victory for Indians was as sweet as the World Cup victory,
Oh.
because it's very difficult to conquer the Australian land.
Yeah.
Like going to Australia and succeeding on those pitches,
Exactly.
because those pitches are fast and absolutely bouncy, where
Yeah.
very only the best batsman can survive.
Yeah.
So India managed to win a series over there.
Mhm.
So India again are touring Australia this towards the end of this year.
Mhm.
So I think I have the list here. So there are some exciting, debutants. Some exciting inclusions into the team. So I think in the T20 squad, Deepak Chahar is there, and Varun Chakravarti. So I'm sure you wouldn't know them.
Yeah.
Deepak Chahar is a very talented bowler. He's played for India. He's represented India. He's a very good bowler. And Varun Chakravarti, he's a spinner. Okay, he's a spinner who plays for KKR at the
Okay.
present moment, Kolkata Knight Riders.
Okay.
So Varun Chakravarti started only bowling seriously when he was around 23 years old. I think 21 or 22 years old.
Okay. How old
And
is he now?
he's just 28 or something now.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think, and he's an architect. He's a
Okay.
full-time architect.
Okay.
So, being an architect, he started playing tennis ball cricket, and
Okay.
he started doing well in tennis ball cricket. Then,
Uh-huh.
some people noticed them and asked them that, why don't you start playing with the leather ball now?
Uh-huh.
He started doing well there as well, and I think he got in touch with Dinesh Karthik, who's the ex-captain of KKR, and
Yeah.
who's one of the main players of KKR.
Mhm.
So, like he spoke with him, Dinesh Karthik spoke with him, and Dinesh Karthik spotted him, and then he asked him like, you contact me later,
Mhm.
and you can come and bowl to the KKR team in the nets, karke.
Okay.
So he went. He was picked up by KKR, and he was bowling to them in the nets,
Okay.
net during the net session,
Mhm.
and he managed to impress them. And I think KKR picked him during the auction time.
Oh.
Like they were all impressed, and they picked him in the squad. And he did really well in this IPL, where in one match he picked up 5 wickets in just one match.
Whoa.
And maybe that is the reason.
Okay.
India also, he got the Indian call up. It's
Yeah.
always it's always a dream moment when you get called up for playing for your nation.
Exactly.
Like that's what every cricketer, every budding cricketer in India, like every cricketer's ultimate goal is in India, right?
Yeah.
So Varun Chakravarti, I think Sanju Samson.
Mhm.
Have you heard of this name?
Yeah.
Sanju
Yeah.
Samson.
I think he plays for
Yes.
Rajasthan Royal, right?
Yeah. He is
Yeah.
one of their best batsmen, Rajasthan's. Again, an extremely underrated batsman.
Mhm.
Somebody who should have got a lot of chances, but is criminally underrated and does not get a lot of very chances for the talent he possesses.
Yeah.
He's an excellent batsman
Mhm.
who works very hard, and and he's a very good wicket keeper as well. So he is in the squad again.
Mhm.
And KL Rahul is the vice captain,
Oh.
for the T20 squad.
And the captain is Kohli,
Rohit,
right?
yeah, Kohli is the captain. Rohit Sharma is out because I think he's suffering from an injury. He's picked up a hamstring injury. So I'm not sure if he'll continue the rest of the IPL as well.
Oh, okay.
So that was the T20 squad, and in the ODI squad there is Shubman Gill, who is a very exciting prospect.
Uh-huh.
He was one of their best players in the Under-19 World Cup when India played last year.
Okay.
So Shubman Gill was one of their best batsmen.
Mhm.
So he's been added, and who else? Yeah, I think apart from that, all the others are quite regulars. Shardul Thakur, he's played for India. Navdeep Saini, he's played for India. All of that. And in the Test squad, there is Mohammad Siraj, who's been added, and Shubman Gill has been added to the Test squad as well.
Mhm.
And Mohammad Siraj. So Mohammad Siraj, if you're following RCB,
Mhm.
has tasted mixed success for RCB. For example, like in the last game, he bowled sensationally well and picked up a lot of wickets.
Okay.
But he's criticized by a lot of RCB fans for conceding a lot of runs because he bowls very poorly towards the death overs of the game, and he concedes a lot of runs.
Mhm.
So he's got that mixed response from fans. But Kohli always seems to back him because he does have his moments, and I can clearly see Kohli's influence here. That's the reason I think he is picked up in the squad.
Ah.
Otherwise, I think there are much better bowlers who could be in the Test squad.
Okay.
So Siraj is the inclusion in the Test squad. So yeah, India is touring Australia, and I think the first, I think they're playing ODIs first, and I think they're playing the first ODI on 23rd or 25th of November. I'm not sure what the date is.
Okay. And what's going on with IPL? Like, have the playoffs started yet?
IPL, in the last few games, Kings 11 Punjab, they were at the bottom of the table, and they have managed to, sort of incite a resurrection of sorts. As in, they won their last 5 games consecutively, and they are now number fourth. So only the top 4 teams can qualify, right?
So who's in the top 4 now?
Yeah, so top 4. Number 1, I think, is Mumbai. Second is Delhi. Third is Bangalore, and fourth is Punjab.
Okay. I think
Yeah,
RCB was in the top spot, and did they drop?
No, I think RCB has always been that fourth or third position.
Okay.
I don't reckon them. I don't remember them hitting that second or third.
So who do you think will get into the playoffs?
Playoffs, definitely. RCB looks a strong contender because they've been playing well. Not to disregard that factor. They have been playing well. Delhi and Mumbai for sure. The fourth spot is going to be very interesting because all the teams are vying for that fourth spot. And CSK is pretty much practically out of the tournament, virtually out of the tournament because they've lost plenty of games.
Really?
They lost about yeah.
CSK usually plays really well.
Yeah. They've been one of the most consistent sides for the last in the history of IPL.
Exactly.
Because except for this season I don't really see them qualifying for the playoffs because they are mathematically it's possible, but I don't see it happening because I think Punjab has to lose 2 games at least, and I think what is that? Kolkata has to lose all of their games. Sunrisers has to lose 2 games, and they are heavily reliant on other teams' performance. Only then they can mathematically qualify for that playoff spot, which I don't see what is happening. So fourth spot, the battle for fourth spot is going to be interesting because Punjab have been performing extremely well in the last 5 games. They won all their 5 games, last 5 games. I think today there is Delhi and Sunrisers playing Hyderabad. So Hyderabad is on its way to win the game. They are playing well. So this game they might take it. So then it will sort of open the battle up. And what else? KKR too has a chance, but they've lost their last 2 or 3 games.
I think this year the popularity for IPL might have decreased, right? Compared to every other year.
Apparently Ganguly in one of the recent interviews he told that the ratings for this year's IPL is the highest apparently.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard anything about IPL.
Yeah, but quality-wise, I think this year's IPL has been horrible because there have been many boring matches and one-sided matches. And also the shift of focus has been from India to Dubai, right? Where pitches are much slower. It's considerably slower and there are not a lot of runs scored, but there have been some low-scoring thrillers. But apart from that, it's been a pretty, mundane and normal season.
Yeah, and also the conditioning of the players is pretty, much bad. Much worse than usually how the conditioning is in every other country.
They are playing in a much hotter and humid environment.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's quite a toll on their health as well.
Yeah, so I think that might also result in a poor performance as well.
Could be.
Yeah. So with that, let's move on to the main facade of our podcast, and that is Premier League football. So this week.
Oh, by the way, did you watch the El Clasico?
Yeah, I did. So we'll actually talk about the games that happened in the other leagues before getting into the Premier League. So Steven, what did you think about El Clasico?
I didn't watch the match because I don't have a Facebook account, and it's absurd that one of the highly one of the most watched fixture is available on Facebook of all places.
I know.
So I didn't watch the game. I watched only that 10-minute clip highlight, and in that it looked like a very interesting game in the first half, I would say. But afterwards it was just Barca fucking up. I mean, Barca did try a lot to sort of reinforce and up the ante with their attacking line, where they consecutively they were trying to increase their attacking reinforcements, but nothing significant was resulted.
Yeah.
And I think credit to Madrid. Madrid managed to play well, outsmart Barca.
Yeah.
And I can't really comment because I watched only a 10-minute clip, highlight
But
clip.
I actually watched the match. But when I watched the match, I mean, Real Madrid, they actually took the match by its neck at the final half of the game, I mean, or like the final last 10 or 15 minutes of the game. But until then, I would say Barcelona were the better team because they played really well.
Okay.
They passed the ball around. I mean, Real Madrid did have their moments, but I kind
Mhm.
of felt like the most fair result would have been a draw between two teams, because
Mhm.
I think both the team were kind of pathetic in defense, but at the same time going forward they're pretty good. So
Yeah,
I felt
yeah.
like a draw would have been a much fairer result. But Real Madrid got into it. Modric with an awesome strike, and then Ramos
Excuse me.
getting the final goal. So it was
Oh, that
a
penalty was a very controversial one, no? It
exactly,
was
exactly,
a
yeah.
very controversial penalty.
So it was kind of unfair too as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So but all
But
in
I
all,
think Real Madrid would have still managed to win it even if you
yeah.
minus that penalty.
But like when I was watching the match, okay, like I thought like this doesn't feel like a Clasico. Like there's no like
Exactly.
that that.
It's been that case for the last 2-3 years. I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
the
Yeah,
Clásicos have gotten exponentially boring.
yeah,
I One main reason I think is that there is no intense rivalry like there was between Ronaldo and Messi.
exactly.
And Messi also is kind of underperforming now. Like
Yeah,
in the Clásicos, it's been I think 3 or 4 Clásicos since he scored now.
yeah,
He hasn't scored in the last 4 or 5 Clásicos,
yeah. And
if
also
I'm not wrong.
both the team are in transition as well. Like Barcelona is in
Exactly.
transition,
Yeah.
and Real
Yeah.
Madrid may not be in transition, but they don't know what the fuck is going on with them. Zidane
Mm.
looks like he doesn't have a clue like what to do with the team right now, but they're still sticking with him. So I mean, it's kind of weird. I feel like this is like the best opportunity for Atletico Madrid to win the title this year, because both teams look so
Yeah.
bad. And yeah, so let's see what happens with the Spanish league. And also, did you watch the Riviera derby,
No.
the match between Dortmund versus Schalke?
No. I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah,
But
that was,
I know that they thrashed them.
yeah, the 3-0, like an
Yeah.
absolute spanking. Haaland scored again. Jadon
Oh, that was a
Sancho.
sexy goal.
Yeah,
Haaland's goal
exactly.
was amazing, by
Yeah.
the way.
I mean, this Dortmund team have so many up and coming rock stars in their team, like Jadon
Very exciting
Sancho.
team. Dortmund
Yeah,
always have had amazing
exactly.
players.
Yeah, like when I look at the team, there are three players who stand out, and that is Sancho, Haaland, and Reina.
Reina, yeah.
Yeah, these three players look like something they're going to be world class players. And
And
actually,
Jude Bellingham,
Jude Bellingham as well.
him
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that I mean, looking at how Haaland is scoring right now, there are again interest of United signing him
Yeah, yeah.
next window
They're
has
planning for
come
a
back.
double scoop apparently.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know how much of that can we believe, because we couldn't even sign Sancho in one transfer window. Imagine signing two of the world-class players. But there are so many
Yeah.
things about Haaland. So he actually, in his contract, has a release clause of 72 million pounds, I think. I think it might be pounds or euros.
68, I think.
No, it's
68
72.
pounds.
Yeah. I mean, some of the articles had written 68 pounds, but later on, Fabrizio Romano cleared out that ambiguity, and he said that it was 72 million. So it was 72
Okay.
million, and it actually kicks in at I think this clause is around before June 2022.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if any team wants to sign him, they have to pay 72, and if any
Huh.
teams, so actually
I
United
think
are.
72 is quite a bargain for him for the
Yeah, exactly. So
quality.
United are thinking of signing him in the next summer by offering more than 72 for Dortmund, so that they could get him. But like Dortmund stance right now is they are like very happy with Haaland, and they are in no mood to sell him at all.
Yeah, but so his contract ends in 2021, right?
No, so the release clause that is 72 million expires on June 2022. So if any team wants to
Oh,
buy him, they could buy him for
okay.
72 million
Okay.
before June 2022.
Cool.
So that's the case with Haaland. And if we are really for him, please sign for I mean for the last time that I've said, I don't know how many times I've said, United just sign him. Like we couldn't get Sancho, at least we'll get a world class striker who will be good for the next 10, 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, and we can get rid of Cavani.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, by the way, so speaking of Cavani, let's move to the match day. And that was, oh wait, there is another match that I want to talk about, and that was one of the matches in Syria. Did you watch the AC
Hmm.
Milan versus Roma? AS Roma.
No, Roma made a comeback, no?
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
managed to draw the game.
But it
But
was
I didn't see
such.
the game, but I heard.
There were actually two penalties that were given to. I mean, there were one penalties that were given to both the teams. Okay, the penalties were such a horrible call by the referee. It was so bad. On the
Okay.
Roma got a penalty because Roma actually fouled the AC Milan defender and they got a penalty.
Oh, wow.
I
Roma got a penalty.
Roma
Wow.
got a penalty. They were the one who fouled the defender. You could clearly see on VAR, and also like even if you're a referee the referee was so close to the incident. Okay, clearly the ball was right there. The Milan defender came and shielded the ball. The Roma attacker just came and stamped on his foot, and then he just pretended like he got hurt by the challenge, and then he just gave the penalty without even looking at VAR or anything like that.
Oh.
It was such a
No,
blatant error. Blatant error.
that's so sad. That's so sad.
And
Then
then
what's the point of even having VAR then?
exactly. And then after like 5 minutes after that, on the other side, it was such a soft penalty, dude. Like even the commentators were talking about this is such a pathetic penalty. Like this is not even a penalty. Who is this referee? Like it was so bad. Like as you know, in the Italian league, Italian league is much more rougher than Premier League. Like like you go into challenges, like really harsh challenges.
Much more defensive minded.
Exactly. You could go into much harsher challenges and you won't get a card or you won't get a foul, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But these two penalties were so soft. It was like, a baby coming and tapping you on the shoulder and, you get a penalty. It was that bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But it was very, very exciting match. 3-3, both teams were like so even.
And I think AC Milan are top of the table, right? They've been playing really well.
Yeah,
in the
this was the only match that they drew until they started the season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And our king, our lion, has been. That man doesn't seem to age at all.
He scored in this match too as well.
Yeah, he's been scoring, I think, in almost all of their games.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't seem to age at all.
Exactly. And also at the same
Zlatan
time,
has stopped aging.
Yeah, and also he did make an error as well. Like the third goal that AC Roma scored was because Zlatan made an error as well. But I mean, come on, how old is he? 35, 36? How old is Zlatan?
No, more than that. Easy. I think he's easy 38.
Yeah.
He's almost nearing. When
39,
he was playing for
39.
United, he was around 36.
He's 39.
That is unbelievable, dude.
He's 39 and he's playing for a Champions League side, dude. Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
And he's been playing like one.
Yeah,
he's been playing like an absolute champion.
Exactly.
He converts, dude.
Yeah.
My God. I don't know how he does that. He just.
And he still has that athletic ability where he does that acrobats,
kung fu kicks, kung fu goals, and all he scores.
That's how we actually made that error in this match as well. He tried to do a flick and all that, and he missed it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Zlatan being Zlatan, he's such a leader. He'll just forget about it and go and score in the next game.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the Premier League with that.
Yeah.
So obviously, before I think we'll talk about the first match, and then we'll get into the big one, and that was Leeds, beating.
Did you watch that game? I saw that game. Man.
Yeah,
what
I
an
actually
amazing
was
game. I didn't expect them to beat them 3-0. I mean, I knew it was Leeds and all of that stuff, and they were playing without Calvin Phillips as well, as their pivot.
Yeah.
And despite that, they managed to portray a very clinical performance.
And all people, Patrick Bamford scored a hat trick.
I am like, my FPL first of all.
Dude, I had him for the first 3 weeks of my FPL, dude, and then I took him off for Calvert-Lewin. Oh my God, I feel like such an ass. Oh my
Bamford
God.
of all people, that to a hat trick, man. In the second half.
Yeah.
He missed 2 sitters in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 very, very good chances, and he went on to score a hat trick in the second half.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God. But I think people already putting him in their teams for the next game week is going to be just a knee-jerk reaction.
For sure. Because, I mean, he did play really well, especially the third goal that he scored was so good.
I think the second and the third goal was really nice.
Yeah, really good.
It was pretty good.
Exactly.
But he's had the stats and history tells that he misses a lot of easy chances. Like he should be scoring a lot more than he does. He takes a lot of shots, but he misses a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why a lot of managers haven't taken him, haven't put him in their team.
Yeah.
But considering that, I think for the last game week, he had an ownership rate of around 20%.
Yeah.
So out of the 7.5 million managers, 20% of them still had him in their team.
Yeah,
So
true,
quite
true,
a
true.
good differential, I would say.
Yeah, and also like I was surprised that Leeds played so well against Aston Villa, who
Aston
have
Villa.
been really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Defensively, they've been probably the best team.
exactly.
Like obviously they've played one game lesser than the other teams,
Yeah,
but still they have been pretty solid, against teams like Liverpool and all
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
Been pretty good.
yeah. But like
But
it was weird to see like Aston Villa kind of were off their game. Like their finishing wasn't just there in this game.
yeah, Grealish had a couple of chances which he missed. I mean,
Exactly.
one of which was cleared on the line by Luke Ayling,
Oh, that was
and
so good.
then again there was this one sensational run by Grealish on the left flank. If
Oh,
you've seen that Dimitri Payet solo goal
yeah,
against
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know
It was
which
kind of
team,
like that.
it was
Yeah,
just like that. It was just
yeah,
like that. He cut in, I think, half of the or I think almost the entire defense,
yeah.
and he took the shot, and it was saved by who
Exactly.
was it saved?
I think it's
It
a
was saved by Meslier.
yeah, exactly,
Who
exactly.
is another fantastic goalkeeper and is a great FPL asset as well,
For
I
sure,
would
he
say.
looks like he's gonna go into the top three teams for sure.
For sure. Yeah. And
Like,
he's very young. He's
yeah,
he's he's young. He's less than 20 years old.
yeah. I mean, Chelsea
Teenager he is.
probably could sign him for next season or something like that.
No, Chelsea already have a good goalkeeper in
Yeah,
Mendy.
but he's kind of old compared to like all the young keepers, all the other team have. Like we have Dean
Okay.
Henderson, they have City have Edison, they have Allison. So yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah. So with that, Leeds were so
But
good.
like that's the thing. I can't sort of I can't sort of draw a comparison on Leeds because if you look at the first two games, Leeds conceded at 7 goals. But if you
Hmm.
look at the later games, they've conceded like only 1 goal in their
Yeah,
last
yeah,
three
yeah.
games or something.
Yeah.
They've been solid, absolutely solid
True, true,
defensively.
true, 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 true,
So
true.
it's just so, I don't know, difficult to predict the model that they operate under
Yeah,
is what I feel. And I think I will need to watch at least 5 or 6 games to sort of arrive at a decision as to what actually their style of play is.
yeah, yeah.
Because at this moment, it's just so difficult to sort of process and, sort
Like
of pin a
yeah,
label to it.
like most of their game is all that their tenacity to get back and run across the field, even though they know that they made their error. Like just like with Luke Ayling save that goal near
Yeah,
goal line
yeah.
save, he made that
Dude,
error,
Luke
but then he
Ayling,
came back.
he runs up and down the pitch. He
Yeah,
goes to the opposite team's boxes. He takes shots and all.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
he's a good FPL asset for people
Yeah,
who wants attacking returns because he gets a lot in the boxes and he takes a lot of
exactly,
shots. And
exactly.
despite that, he comes back and he defends.
Yeah,
I don't know, like that's the intensity that Leeds play with,
exactly,
and
exactly.
of course it is well established and well understood by now that Leeds is the highest pressing. They press the most intense. They have the most intense presses in the game.
Yeah,
And despite that, they have you seen their passing? Their passing is so slick,
yeah, I
almost
know.
Manchester City like.
Exactly.
Their one
It's like quick
touches, the
one, two,
passes that they
yeah,
do,
1-2 quick
yeah,
passes.
and the
Yeah,
and the vision their midfielders have is
yeah.
just unbelievable.
It's like
It's so
it's all
amazing to see.
it looks like it's all been choreographed in the training session. Everything that they do on the
The
pitch.
murder ball of
Exactly.
Bielsa.
Yeah. I mean, Pep sometimes when his team plays tiki taka, it's sometimes they also take what they did in the training session, but at the same time, the players are so good that they can come up with plays like
Correct,
that.
correct.
But with
Yeah,
this
they
team,
improvise on the field.
yeah,
Correct.
it looks so systematic. Like everyone knows where they have to be, where they need to go to get that pass and to put the pass in as well. It's
Yep.
very very nice to watch Leeds play, even though this is coming from both your two United fans.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I
exactly.
think by far the most exciting team they have been.
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
Like
for
just
sure.
purely
Yeah,
as an aesthetic performance, as
and
an
also the
aesthetic
most
aesthetic
consistent team
perspective.
up until now. The most
Yeah,
consistent
yeah,
team. Like they haven't
yep, yep.
lost badly or they haven't
Correct.
won by a large
I
margin.
mean, that game against Wolves, they should have won because they had
Yeah,
more number of chances and
yeah,
they attacked more with intent than Wolves. But
yeah,
Wolves were pretty good defensively, and I think
yeah.
that's one reason they managed to lose the game.
True, 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 true. So with that, we'll get into the main one, which was Manchester United versus Chelsea, which was a
Yeah,
boring,
which was
boring
dead
draw.
rubber.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. So
it was such a
your
boring
thoughts?
draw.
Yeah, yeah, Steven. Yeah, go
I
on, go
mean,
on.
so I think both the teams they played with the intention of drawing the game and not winning the game.
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
felt
Yeah,
because I didn't see any attacking intent from either side,
yeah.
except for maybe like the last 10 or 15 minutes where United did get some shots on
After
target. And
Pogba came on, right?
yeah, after Pogba and one more person, what's his face?
It was
Oh,
I
Van de
think
Beek.
Van de
No,
Beek.
not
Yeah.
Van de Beek.
No, no, Van de Beek did not play.
Yeah, Pogba and fuck, who's the other player? Greenwood, Pogba and Greenwood came.
Yes, Greenwood. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Was it Greenwood? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it was Greenwood. It was Greenwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it was Greenwood.
Mendy making an almost world-class save to deny Rashford.
Yeah.
I thought that was definitely going in, but Mendy actually saved the game for Chelsea with that amazing save of his.
Exactly.
If it was Kepa, it would have surely gone in,
Yeah,
and we
for
could have
sure.
won the game.
I think
Yeah.
he pulled up like 2 or 3 world-class saves. I think if he wasn't there,
Yep.
I mean, it would have definitely
He
been a
did. He
goal.
did.
Yeah.
For sure, he did.
Yeah.
So I think
No,
defensively,
it wasn't Greenwood. It was Cavani.
Cavani. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
Cavani.
God.
Yeah,
How
we
can I
totally
forget
forgot.
that?
We totally forgot. Yeah.
Cavani. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Go on.
yeah. So defensively, both teams were pretty good, but United, I think, were the better team defensively.
Yeah.
Because they were quite well organized and they knew what positions to take when there was space, there was the space and half spaces left behind.
Yeah.
They managed to close down the spaces well. They managed to cut that double pivot of Jorginho and Kante, and they managed to cut that. So Chelsea, I think historically they have the knack of attacking centrally, and most of the goals that they have converted have resulted from attacks that has originated from the center of the field.
Yeah.
And United successfully managed to cut all those channels and like force Chelsea to attack from the flanks, which also was managed pretty well by United.
Yeah.
So like that, I was pretty happy to see that United have been recovering from the silly defensive errors that they've been committing in the first since the beginning of the league.
Yeah.
So they were pretty good defensively against PSG as well, and they replicated that against Chelsea. So a very well-deserved clean sheet. Even Chelsea were pretty good with their defense. But again, as a fan, you don't want to see a defensive game. You always want to see goals and goals. So it was pretty disappointing, and it was quite a lackluster performance, is what I say.
Yeah,
there was no intent to attack or win the game from both sides.
Yeah, for me, I would say until the 70th minute, until Pogba and Cavani came on, I never felt like United deserved to win the match, and neither did Chelsea as well. Chelsea did have the more number of possession in the first half, and then we dominated the position.
Correct.
Did dominate it, but we had more possession than them. But after that, I thought that, both teams look so bad. There is a reason why these two teams have been playing so bad in the Premier League this season.
Have been struggling, yeah.
Exactly. Both teams wanted to desperately keep a clean sheet rather than go take a risk and score a goal. And then Cavani came on, Pogba came on, and then Cavani, right after he came on, that one flick that he did into the box.
One flick,
Everyone was whoa.
People would have gone mad if he had scored that goal.
Exactly. Everyone whoa, okay, who is this guy? Okay. So after that happened, I was excited. Okay, maybe this might spark something.
But apart from that shot, I think he was pretty okay. He didn't get a lot of balls.
He wasn't playing in the middle. He was actually coming in from the right and trying to play in the middle. Yeah. So Bruno was put into the middle position, right? Where
Bruno played a lot deeper.
Yeah.
At times he was almost like a makeshift centre back.
Exactly.
He was playing in front of Maguire and all that.
Yeah. So I think he got frustrated.
He covered a lot of picture,
I think he got frustrated because there were two.
No. It was not that. I think it was clearly team tactics that. That was actually very well executed to the plan because whenever there were the wing backs used to press higher to sort of regain the ball, he used to drop back and cover those spaces. I think that was clear tactics.
Yeah.
And Bruno, he played his position well.
And also one thing
plays well.
Yeah, and one thing that I need to mention is let me first finish it off. After Cavani and Pogba came on, that's when we really looked like we are gonna score in this match. And then Eduardo Mendy.
There were not many chances, but some of the half chances we had.
Exactly. We could have converted, but Mendy, I think, pulled off 2 incredible saves. Which should have been
especially that save against Rashford.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought was definitely going inside.
Exactly. So those kind of saves, kind of made us settle for a draw. But other than that, I wanted to talk about this, and that was. Before, in the start of the Premier League, I thought Wan-Bissaka, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe something is going on with his head. And then he slowly started to pick up from the Newcastle game. And in PSG, he was just amazing. And in this match too, he was amazing. He was so good that I forgot that he was actually going up against Pulisic. And Pulisic was non-existent in this game.
And I had him in that Gandu. I had him in my team as well. I'm going to
Exactly.
definitely kick him out and kicking out for maybe
Like,
James next week.
like when the match started, like I didn't even look at the team sheet and I was just watching the match. And after like 35th minute or something, Pulisic got the ball to throw inside the box, and I was like, oh wait, Pulisic is playing on the right side, right? And they're still not scoring goal. And I was like, okay,
No,
Aaron
Pulisic was on
Wan-Bissaka.
the left.
Yeah.
Pulisic was on the left.
Oh yeah, on the left side. Yeah, he was going up against Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So I was like, okay. So the reason why he's so non-existent is because Wan-Bissaka has him in his pocket. Okay, now I get it. Okay, that is the reason. But
Yeah,
Bissaka was
it's
so
nice to
good.
see.
Yeah, Bissaka was so
Bissaka,
good.
yeah.
He's
Again,
yeah,
I strongly feel he should be a centre back. I don't know
yeah,
why I have
for
this
sure.
weird
I
feeling, but
completely agree. Completely agree. Going
I
forward,
feel
he's
like
so
he could
bad.
be a good, yeah.
Yeah, he's
I
so
feel
bad.
like he could be a good centre back.
Yeah, even in this match also, like there were two chances where he could have put in the ball into the box, but
Ah,
then he took
yeah,
the ball
and
forward. He did some
crossed it straight
feint.
into the opposition speed.
Yeah, and
This is just so frustrating to see all the time.
yeah,
All the
there
time, it's the
one of the
same
most
story.
frustrating thing to see whenever goes forward is like he gets the ball near the position where he could cross into the box, but then he does that feint, and then he kicks
Yeah,
that.
he always does that. He
Yeah,
always tries it. Sometimes I feel like his brain freezes at that moment and he's confused.
yeah,
In a state of mind as to whether I should
yeah,
dribble or whether I should cross.
yeah,
He's just caught in between and he doesn't know what to do. Just like what happens with Luke Shaw sometimes.
exactly.
But otherwise, he is much better than I think most of the defenders in our team
For
defensively,
sure,
even the
for
centre
sure, for
backs.
sure, for sure, for sure.
He's an absolute beast when it comes to the
Like
defending point of view.
if he plays as a centre back, he could give Van Dijk a run for his money for sure, and that is
Sure.
not me exaggerating for at all.
Debatable,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like it could be possible.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So all in all,
Another point I want
yeah.
to talk about
Mhm.
from the match was, did you see that challenge of Maguire on Aspie when the corner was taken?
Yes,
I
that was
think
a
that was a clear
penalty.
red card.
That
I
was a
think that was
penalty.
I mean, not a red card, maybe. That was a clear penalty.
Penalty for sure.
And United were lucky to escape. Maguire was lucky to
Exactly.
escape
Exactly.
with that.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
what the fuck was that? He clearly, he almost choked him.
yeah,
And he was clearly rising to meet the header, and
yeah,
he pulled him down.
yeah,
I'm surprised the referee didn't see that.
yeah,
Even if he didn't, he could have clearly referred to VAR because Aspie was on the ground and shouting.
yeah.
They should have awarded a penalty to Chelsea, but United got lucky there.
I think right there Maguire was very excited for the Khabib and Gaethje fight, and he couldn't wait for the match to get over.
Yeah,
So I think that
yeah.
frustration came out, and he put
I
a
think there were a lot of memes when Khabib retired, saying that Khabib, please play one match against
yeah.
Maguire.
Maguire, one fight,
Please just
please.
have one match against
Yeah,
Maguire.
exactly. Oh my God, that was such a horrible. I don't even know if it was a challenge or what the hell was that
I don't know
was.
what that guy was thinking.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It was
he could have
lucky.
clearly that would have clearly cost the team the match.
Yeah, like he shouldn't play. Like just bench him for like 4 or 5 games. Don't let him play. Like I don't want to see him in the next Leipzig game right now. That is tomorrow. Like I don't want to see him play. Yeah, but anyways,
Oh
all in all,
man,
it was a very boring match. There wasn't a lot of things to talk about.
yeah, not many much to be
Yeah.
excited about.
Yeah, another kind of boring game, which was West Ham versus Manchester City, which was a 1-1 draw.
I didn't watch the game at all, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I actually watched the highlights. I didn't watch the match. It was a pretty boring match considering that City should have won, but West Ham did actually play well. Like, they did go against them and they didn't sit
They
back,
have
just
been
because
like
they were
the
City.
surprise package. They have
Yeah.
been defensively. They've been right. They've been pretty good.
Yeah, and also City looks so pathetic this season. I don't know what's going on with them.
There are talks that Guardiola can get sacked,
Yeah,
can
yeah,
be
yeah.
sacked and all that stuff.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I think they will wait it out.
Like, I think we are 15th on the table and I think they're 12th on the table.
And
Yeah.
the two of us, we still have a game in hand, no?
Exactly.
Both
Yeah,
City and
yeah.
United.
True. So with that, again, like another boring game, just like Manchester United and Chelsea. With that, let's move on to Everton losing to Southampton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Southampton have
2-0.
been pretty good. Like they've been
Yeah,
like the dark horses of, I would say, they have been sort of the dark horses of this tournament.
yeah,
Been playing pretty well for the high line of defense they play.
yeah.
It's quite surprising that they have managed to keep clean sheets in the last 2 games.
And I thought like Everton would actually struggle in this match because I thought James wouldn't play in this match, and then he
No,
was
it
actually
was,
on the
yeah,
team.
I knew that James would play.
Yeah,
I knew James would play
and then he came,
because it's
but
not a
still,
very serious injury.
yeah, but still they played so bad, dude. Like, what's going on with them?
Oh,
Oh
I
my
did see
God.
the game. So how was the game?
The game, I mean, Southampton, I mean, obviously, Everton did try to create their chances, but Southampton were so clinical, and Danny Ings And Shea Adams, they were so good going forward.
Yeah, and Ward Pro is also, no, he also managed to get a
Yeah, he actually scored a goal as well. Like he's in the England team. He's clearly a better player. I mean, he's not the kind of player who would classify like the player who would play for the bottom half of the table. He clearly
Okay,
deserves.
are you talking about Dannings or Ward Pro is?
I mean, both are really good players.
Yeah, Dannings certainly deserves a better club.
Yeah, for sure. Even Ward-Prowse, like he's young, he's up and coming. He deserves. I mean, he's a free kick specialist, and at the same time, he puts in some insane passes as well.
Okay.
So I feel like so he should be able to. I mean, he should get a spot in a team which is much higher up the table.
Okay.
But it was a shocker. But we kind of see now Everton crumbling. Let's see how they respond after this defeat.
Yeah, this is kind of surprising, given the form that Everton are in.
Exactly.
I didn't expect them to lose 2-0, and Everton, and especially Southampton keeping a clean sheet against Everton.
Yeah.
Who probably has one of the best attacks at the moment in Premier League.
Exactly. So let's see how they bounce back in the next match, it's gonna be a fun one. And this was I would say, very predictable result, which was Liverpool winning 2-1 against Sheffield.
But if you saw the game, Sheffield played really well.
Yeah.
It was a hard-fought victory for Liverpool.
I did actually watch it.
Because they defended extremely well.
Yeah.
Sheffield defended, I think, for the first time in the season, they played to the credit to what they had in the last season.
Yeah.
Which was, a very defensive-minded unit. Yeah. And that's how they performed. They were really good. And even, when they were attacking, they attacked with intent. They had it in them that, okay, I can, get a point out of this game.
True.
It was unfortunate that they had to lose the game. A hard-fought victory for Liverpool.
Yeah.
But Liverpool were pretty good. Okay. Another frustrating match because I captained Salah, and Salah going into this game. So he was playing at Anfield.
Yeah.
And in the last 58 games, in the last 58 games where Liverpool have played the teams out of top 6, outside of top 6, Salah has scored 50 goals.
Yeah.
And it was a no-brainer that people were going to captain Salah. So even I captained Salah, and Salah blanked. Salah gave me only 4 points. Salah scored a goal which was ruled offside.
Yeah.
And he hit the post, and he almost scored a goal in the first minute, which was cut out by the Sheffield defense.
Yeah.
I was just so frustrated with it, man. That my captain didn't score.
And also, Jota, dude, he looks like he might be able to get a place in the starting 11. I mean, it's kind of a high probability that he won't, but still, he's making a damn good case for Jurgen to consider him, to put him in
for Firmino.
Yeah, exactly. He looks so good, dude. So good.
Yeah.
So with that, let's move on to the other big game that was Arsenal versus Leicester, where Leicester won 1-0 against Arsenal. Did you watch the match?
Quite surprising. I watched bits and pieces of it. We had our podcast recording for our match that day.
Yeah.
So after that, I watched for 10-15 minutes and I felt sleepy and I just went and slept off.
Yeah, actually, when you watch the match, you would say that Arsenal were the better team compared to Leicester.
Yeah, Arsenal, they had a goal which was ruled offside by Lacazette.
Yeah.
And he also missed the sitter. A point-blank range goal he missed.
Yeah, which was very surprising.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think Vardy again came off the bench and managed to score.
I would say Leicester were very efficient. Even though Arsenal were the better team, Leicester made use of their chances when going forward. And Maddison and Tielemans, dude, he was the one who provided that assist, and he's such an underrated player. He's so good.
Yeah, he's a very very underrated player.
Yeah, he's so good.
He was at Anderlecht. Yeah. And I remember United playing Anderlecht in the Europa League, I think a few years ago. And he played really well against United. I remember that performance.
Yeah. And a lot of other clubs with United wanted to sign him, but Leicester City just swooped in and they signed him. And what a bargain!
He's a very underrated player. That's
40 million or something they paid for him. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, again, Arsenal. I think let's see. I mean, they didn't deserve the defeat. I would say a win would have been probably a fair result, but Leicester, credit to them for.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, like I said, like you mentioned, Lacazette missed a sitter and also another chance. they didn't finish.
yeah.
They didn't finish properly. That's their problem.
That's been the problem with Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like if you keep aside only that first game that they played,
Yeah.
where they won with a 3-0 margin.
Mhm.
All the other games, I don't know. The attack hasn't sort of excited me per se.
Exactly.
It hasn't given me the chills and thrills that I get when I'm watching like a City or Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's just been like defensively they've been pretty good.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't know. It just feels like they're trying to defend as much as possible, and Aubameyang, who's one of the best strikers in the world, and an extremely underrated striker, is dropping back so deep, and he is trying to link up play for Lacazette. Lacazette also is kind of an underrated player, I would say, because he drops back a lot and plays like a false nine.
And
he tries to win the balls. He tries to press and all of that stuff. He tries to come to the central midfield role sometimes.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. I don't really understand sometimes what Arteta is thinking, but it looks like he has a plan and he's operating on it.
True. And with that, let's finish up with the final game, and that was Spurs winning 1-0 against Burnley.
Oh, what a boring game again. What an absolutely boring game.
But it was such an unfair result, dude. Burnley should have gotten a win from that game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Spurs just scored
I saw
that
the
one
first
goal.
half.
Yeah.
I saw the first half. I was so bored
that
I switched to Netflix and started watching a movie.
Yeah, but also like most of the chances were just made by Burnley. Like the defense that Spurs have looks so fragile. I don't know how the hell they scored 6 goals against us and we didn't even score 2 or 3 goals against them. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. Like that shows how bad we were on that day. But I feel like Burnley should have won that, and only because of Kane and Son, they got a get out of a jail free card.
Oh man,
from that
what
match.
a deadly duo they have become.
Exactly.
An absolute dangerous.
Yeah, and even the goal that they scored, it kind of felt like that, that Andy Cole and Dwight York kind of, they were linked. They knew that the ball was coming and, Son put it into the net.
Kane has been phenomenal as a creative player.
Oh, dude. Like if he continues on like this,
this is his 8th assist.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. If he continues
almost
on for this,
KDB-esque.
Yeah, he could even win the Ballon d'Or for sure. Like if he continues on this. Yeah. And then he finally could achieve that, where he said that he wanted to be like
that
Messi
Ronaldo Messi status.
Yeah. Exactly. But I would say again, like this weekend, I would say it's been very, very boring, right? Like not a lot of goals.
Yeah, this Premier League game week was probably the most barren and dull game week. Exactly. Because except the first game week where Leeds scored 3, all the other game weeks were like 1-0, 2-1, 0-0, 1-0 and all of those stuff.
Yeah,
this is quite a surprising game week.
Yeah, this is the only week where there have been scored so few goals. Yeah, like the only team
a horrible game week for all the FPL managers.
Oh my god, so bad, dude. So bad.
Oh my, you still managed to score 55 or something, which is
I think
more than the average.
In our league, no one scored more than 60 or 70, right?
No, there are few people who scored
like 1 or 2,
60+.
I think. That's it.
Yeah.
Again, that shows like how bad this match day was.
This game week was,
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, I hope it's going to be better in the next one. I don't know what I'm going to do with Lucas Digne in my team. But let's see what's going to happen.
Oh, I think I surely have to get rid of Pulisic.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'll swap him for.
Yeah.
But I don't know. By the way, did you see the Brighton and West Brom game? That game was interesting. Quite interesting, actually.
I didn't watch that game.
Yeah. So it was a 1-1 game. And I watched it only for Brighton because I find Brighton has a very good chance of finishing in at least like the top 10 because they are a good side attacking wise. So it was actually a very interesting game, very exciting game. I thought Brighton will get me that clean sheet because I have Lamptey from their team and they conceded a goal at the 85th minute or something, which was very frustrating.
Okay.
Brighton is so good, dude, going, attack wise.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
They can easily score 3 or 4 goals. 3 or 4 goals.
True. But at the same time, there are other teams who can, put that, put a stop to that momentum. Yeah. So with
the defense is kind of screwed up, that's why.
Exactly. So with that, I think we've wrapped up for this match today, right?
We pretty much covered everything.
Exactly. And also this week we are gonna have another episode because obviously there is Champions League. We need to talk about it. There's a big game, especially with United coming up. So
and also the Juve Barca game.
Yeah, exactly. And also there might be
But most probably this guy won't play, Ronaldo,
Yeah.
because he's tested positive for the second time. So I'm not sure if he's going to travel with the team.
Exactly. But even if he's tested positive, like he's a specimen, dude. I don't think, that will affect him in any shape or form.
Yeah.
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 But let's see. Hope this Champions League night, like the last one, has some upsets, some up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leipzig are a very good team.
And
So
hope United
it'll
win.
be an interesting battle
And
to see.
dude, okay, I think we forgot to talk about this when we were talking about United. Like, why isn't Van de Beek starting, dude? I don't get it.
I also read some reports that his agents, have sort of picked up a fight with Ole.
Yeah.
They are sort of criticizing Ole for not starting him, and
like what is
that
going
apparently, allegedly, Van de Beek is not happy.
Yeah.
But recently, I think his agent came and said that he's very happy. The relationship with Ole is pretty good and all that stuff.
But I don't get like why always do like I get with the PSG match, we were playing much more defensively and we were breaking at the other team. But in this match, he could have at least started him, like considering other players who haven't done so well.
He deserves to be in the starting 11.
Exactly.
He's a very good player. He's a very, very intelligent player.
Like all the times that he came off the bench and he played for United, he has created chances. He had made runs into the box.
For the limited amount of game time he's got.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to see more of that. Play more attacking football from United. And I hope he starts it.
I think Ole will eventually have to start him because he will understand that. Well, I mean, McTominay was absolute shit, dude. I just frustrates me to see him play.
I don't know why Ole sticks
he only gives that defensive benefit. Otherwise, his passing is pure shit.
I don't know why he sticks to him. I don't know why Ole sticks to him, dude. Yappa, he's so stubborn about McTominay. Oh my god! At least start Fred instead of McTominay. Why is he sticking to him? I don't get it.
Fred started in the last game.
No, I know, but at least take McTominay off and put in Van de Beek. Let correct. Fred be the defensive hole for our midfield. Oh my god, it's so frustrating, dude. But anyways,
hopefully he'll start him.
Exactly. We'll do another episode for the Champions League roundup, and if there are any other news coming up in the footballing world, we'll talk about that. And that's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And also, like Steven mentioned, there's all the FPL link down below. All the code.
The code we will link it in the description. Go join the team. Join the league if you all want to compete against us.
Yeah.
And also listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast,
everywhere
that you
everywhere that you get your podcast from.
We are available all over.
Yeah.
So chalo.
Yeah. We'll see you in the next one. Yeah, that's it for this. We'll see you in the next one. See ya.